Welcome back to Alice's Bucket. This is the series I'm calling Japan is For, where I am exploring different aspects of Japan. This is the 5th video in this series, so if you haven't seen all of the other videos I've done so far, what are you doing? Go check them out later, okay? Last week we talked about the world of Japanese food. Ooh, that was a delicious episode. Japan just has such a fascinating history and culture. I love it. It's absolutely probably my favourite country I've ever visited. And we've still got at least 2 more videos to talk about this amazing country. So let's dive into the bucket as usual and see what we're going to be talking about today. So today, Japan is for the party goer. Whoop whoop. It's been a long time since I've been able to party, guys, okay? And you know, Japan is actually a really fun place, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the different activities you can do and some of the places to go for some of the best nightlife as well. But let's start by talking about something that I think is a little bit surprising for Japan, which is the drinking culture. Now, Japan's drinking culture is not the same here in the UK. Here in the UK, we have a very liberal way of drinking. I mean, it's not the same in Japan, but alcohol is definitely still seen as something that's very integral to sort of the social culture in Japan. In Japan, you'll find what are called izakaya, which are these casual Japanese bars selling alcohol and snacks. They're very popular for hosting informal post-work events known as nomikai. Employees are usually expected to partake in these nomikai because the social bond between co-workers is seen as very important. But the etiquette of these nomikai is that you don't pour your own drinks, you offer to refill other people's drinks, and then that should be reciprocated. I actually really like this idea. I think it would be a good icebreaker and a way of getting people together, and that's kind of the reasoning behind it. It's supposed to really emphasize this sort of harmonious working environment. So like I said, these izakaya are these small casual dining bars, and you will find streets just lined with them. They're not just for the nomikai, people will just go to hang out in the evening. Some great places to find good izakaya in Tokyo are in Roppongi or in Shinjuku, where you have what's known as Golden Gai. And Golden Gai is basically this network of alleyways and passageways that are just lined with these izakaya. There's just hundreds of these tiny little shanty-style bars and clubs, and the prices are actually pretty cheap, so check it out if you're there. The city of Osaka is also known for its casual dining and izakaya, so make sure if you do visit, you visit the area of Dotonbori. There you will find hundreds of izakaya which are open till the early hours of the morning. Now, a word on Japanese alcohol itself. I'm sure you've all heard of some of the most well-known Japanese alcohol. I'm sure you've all heard of sake, for example, which refers to any alcohol made by fermenting rice. It's also known as Japanese rice wine. Umeshu is a Japanese plum wine. It's very, very sweet. It tastes pretty much like juice, so it's very easy to drink. And actually, despite Japan being known for being quite an expensive country to live in, alcohol in general is pretty cheap. If you go to the supermarket, you can buy cans of beer for as low as £1, and liquor in particular is significantly cheaper than the liquor you find in the US, UK and Australia. And when it comes to beer, you've got your famous Japanese brands like Asahi, Kirin, Sapporo, Suntory. But Suntory also make these canned cocktail drinks known as Strong Zero. You may have heard of Strong Zero before. It's infamous for being pretty lethal. It's called Strong Zero because they're strong, they're 9%, and they have 0 sugar. And they're so easy to drink. They come in loads of different fruity flavours, but they're just too easy to drink. Do me a favour and just trust me on this one. If you're gonna have some of these, go do it at home where you're safe. Don't go out and about and drink these. Trust me, we're not gonna get into that just now. No. Okay, moving on to something a little less lethal. We cannot talk about partying in Japan without talking about one of the best things to come from Japan, and that is, of course, karaoke!
Tequila!
I personally love karaoke. Are you shocked? Now let's dig into the history a little bit. You probably know that karaoke does indeed translate to empty orchestra. It is Daisuke Inui who is seen as the inventor of karaoke. In 1971, Inui was a drummer who frequently performed at this coffee house, and customers would frequently ask for recordings of his songs so that they could sing along to them. And he saw an opportunity, so he started creating these tape recorder-like machines, and you'd have to pay like a 100 yen coin to play a song. And as the popularity of these karaoke machines grew, they were initially placed in hotels and restaurants, and later new businesses known as karaoke boxes started to pop up, where you'd have different rooms that you could rent out to do karaoke with your friends. And that's the kind of karaoke that you will see in Japan. In the West, it's quite common to have pubs that would do karaoke nights, so you are on a stage or something and you sing in front of other strangers. But in Japan, it is almost exclusively these private rooms that you rent out. But it's quite often you walk down the street in Tokyo or something and you'll just see these sort of flashing disco lights in the windows of some tower blocks, and that'll be the karaoke compartment boxes. But yes, please don't go to Japan without trying some karaoke. It is great fun. Now, you could argue that this next one isn't to do with partying or nightlife at all, but I would say you're wrong, because let's be honest, the party doesn't stop when you're at Disneyland. Yes, this is for all you Disney fans out there. Let's talk about Tokyo Disney. Tokyo Disney is actually a really fun option for something to do at night. And in case you're not aware, Tokyo Disney is comprised of Disneyland and Disney Sea. Now, we all know what Disneyland is, but Disney Sea is something that is unique to Tokyo. Now, Disneyland Tokyo came first, and it was actually the first Disney resort to be built outside of America in 1983. It was then in 2001 that Disney Sea opened, and Disney Sea, as you can probably guess by the name, has a very nautical theme running throughout the park. And the park is designed so that you don't feel like you're in Tokyo at all. It feels like that you're abroad somewhere. And now that I say all this and realizing that it is unique to Tokyo, I probably should have gone to Disney Sea rather than Disneyland. But hey ho, I made my choice, and I had not been to Disneyland in about 15 years, so I was super excited. And the great thing about Disneyland and Disney Sea is that they're so accessible from the city centre. It is literally half an hour on the tube and you're there. It's so easy, I love it. And both the parks are open till 10 p.m. And if you don't want to get a full ticket, you can just buy an evening pass and just go for the evening. And you can have fun visiting some of the rides, eating some of the Disney themed food, seeing the light show at the castle and the awesome parade. I was lucky enough to visit during the 35th anniversary celebration. It was just as magical as when I was a kid. Can you tell that I loved it? Oh look, I'm wearing this top. There was absolutely nothing stopping you from heading over to Disney for the early evening, having some time there, leaving at 10, going over to karaoke in the city centre, getting that all-you-can-drinks package, and then heading out to the izakaya, awesome nightclubs in the early mornings. And I say all this and you don't even have to drink at all. But if you are going to drink, you drink responsibly, okay? No matter how cheap the liquor is or how many strong zeros you plan on having. What about you guys? Have you partied in Japan? What was your experience like? I'd love to know. Please let me know in the comments. Or, as always, you can email me at alicesbucket@outlook.com. I would love to connect with you and hear your stories. Has anyone got a trip planned in this year or next year? I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get a little bit excited about being able to travel again at some point. I'm trying not to get my hopes up either, though. Okay, we officially only have one more video left in this series. No! I'm saying no, not just because the series is ending, but because I've now got to think of what I'm going to talk about next. Okay, so make sure to click here to visit some of my previous videos on Japan if you haven't done so already. I will be back as usual next Monday at 6 p.m. for my final video on Japan. I'm sorry, I burped. Okay guys, until next week, see you then.